Trackmania, a game about speed and precision. At the highest levels, players spend countless days, weeks, and even months racing the same track over and over again, shaving milliseconds off their records, chasing the ever-increasingly difficult title of number one. But once a season, a new race starts. 25 new tracks. 25 new first place titles. With the introduction of the summer 2022 season, I thought it was finally time to dip my toes into the smooth racing game I had seen online. It would be easy. It would be fun. And it would be a challenge. But one track almost ruined me. Track 21. The track starts off with a hook left turn, forcing me to slow down and lean into the turn to build up speed. If I went too fast, I would fly off the track. And if I wasn't paying attention, I would make too sharp or too wide of a turn. This was followed by a small drop and a slide into the second turn of the track, where I would need to brake sharply and weave through the chicane before reaching the first of 3 jumps in the track. My first attempt wasn't too bad for a shabby bronze medal, but if I wanted to get that gold, I would need to land smoothly through the checkpoint with at least 280 speed. But this wasn't my first problem. My problems had already started. You see, the turn before this jump was placed perfectly to punish a new player like myself. If I misjudged my speed coming out of the slide and braked too late, I would instantly slide into the wall, ending my run. Even worse, if I misaimed the jump, I would be sent soaring into the checkpoint itself, the very thing I was trying to get past. But this was just 20 seconds into the track. Restarting over and over and over again didn't seem like a big deal. Just another 20 seconds was all I needed to get through this. And I could see that I was getting more and more consistent over time. Section 2 starts off with a nice and straight path which ends in an abrupt left turn. If I managed to line myself up on the rightmost edge of the track, with my wheels just on the edge of the grass, I could tap that brake button and slide through this turn, preserving my speed. If I turned too late, I would veer off the track and take a nice little dip. And if I turned too early, I would slide through the grass, losing all my speed. Passable, and it seemed like an acceptable speed loss for a beginner like myself. And what I didn't realize at the time was that going through the grass meant I was never, ever going fast enough to have a shot at that gold medal. But that's a challenge for a later time. Right now, I was focused on learning the general flow of the track, making it safely past each obstacle, and then I could finally set my sights on improving my time to the gold medal standard. Once I came out of this turn, my troubles weren't over. I was faced with a sharp right turn where I had to line up on the left side of the track and turn right, a bit earlier than I expected every time. But if I timed it perfectly, I would weave through the next chicane, slide past 3 well-placed poles, and launch into the second jump off the track. The run killer. A perfect showcase of how deceptively easy Trackmania can look. If I pointed the car too far right, I would hopelessly bounce off the track before my tires could grip. If I pointed the car too far left, I could easily hit the track itself. And the final kicker? After landing, if I couldn't control my speed, I wouldn't make the sharp turn after, which would send me flying hopelessly off the edge. I almost gave up on Trackmania because of this jump. I stayed up late into the night to try and get through this section over and over and over again. I tried until the sun was starting to rise. I was getting worse. Time to get some rest, let some of that track sink in overnight, and try again tomorrow. The next day didn't feel any better. It felt like I had started again from the beginning, but over time I could tell I was getting better. I was more consistent than I was before. I was beating my previous section time. And I was starting to get past the run killer more frequently. I was moving past section 2 and onto section 3. Section 3 started off with a nice and long straight. It was perfect. A little respite in the track where I could make up for lost speed and loosen my concentration for a few seconds. And then it was back to full concentration mode. I was hit with a U-turn where I would need to cut all my speed to get through it. If I didn't brake hard enough, I would veer straight into the barrier and lose all my speed. This was followed by a small drop and a smooth right turn into the second run killer of the track. The second run killer might have looked easy in the beginning, but it didn't feel that way. This small ramp was combined with a sharp right turn. If my angle of approach was too shallow, I could fly over the edge or hit the wall, leaving me with a slow and painful uphill climb as I watched the gold medal ghost leave me in the dust. If I approached too sharp or too slow, I would magically line myself up with a split in the track. By the time I had grown familiar with this section of the track, I had given up on finishing the track with the speed and precision of a professional. Not only were there now 2 consistent run killers in the track, but there was still a large section of track after this. This was section 4, and it basically consisted of a series of nice and smooth turns where I just needed to maintain speed and not mess up. So I did what any sane person would do. I crossed my fingers and hoped to God I would get lucky. Silver. Luck had landed me silver. Trackmania is a game about precision and repetition. It isn't a game about luck. Everything in Trackmania is a direct result of your actions, and if I had performed the exact same actions, I would get the exact same results. I had 7 seconds of improvement to make across my run, and I could see it happening. You see, one of the best things about Trackmania is that it saves your best run and allows you to race your own ghost. I could see myself beating my ghost. I could see myself beating the gold medal ghost, and I was starting to really pull ahead in the earlier sections of the track. I was starting to hit the 280 speed on jump 1, then 300, then 320. I was making it through the first sharp left turn, just under 300 speed. I was hitting the run killer with 400 speed, and I was landing it more and more consistently. I was finally getting a smooth entry into section 4, and all that stood between me and gold was 2 turns and 3 boosts. It all came up to this final section. 50 seconds of high intensity focus, repeated over and over again for 6 hours straight, and it all came down to this section. All I had to do was not screw up. Track 21 almost ruined me, having my goal in sight but just out of reach, being able to visualize each improvement I needed to make, but being unable to achieve it. And after 1,042 runs, and the stars aligned. I did it. I got gold. And now I can rest easy knowing I had passed the most difficult track of the summer 2022 season, track 21.